Imagine this, not today, but a day thousands of years ago. The sun is pouring fire from the sky. The ground is so hot that walking barefoot is almost impossible. Dry grass stretches in every direction. The earth is cracked from thirst. There isn't a single drop of water in sight. And in the middle of this brutal heat, a small group of humans, along with their families and children, is desperately trying to stay alive. Today, if the temperature reaches 45 degrees Celsius, people stay inside their homes, turn on the air conditioner, drink cold water. But ancient humans had none of those things. So how did they survive? And how did they learn to live in such extreme heat? In today's video, we're going to uncover that mystery. Whenever we think about ancient humans, we usually imagine that their greatest threats were wolves, lions, or massive prehistoric animals. But scientists believe that many times their greatest enemy wasn't an animal at all. It was the weather, especially extreme heat, because heat didn't threaten just one person. It threatened the entire group. If water disappeared from an area, it wasn't just one individual who suffered. The whole tribe was suddenly in danger. Even today, a human can survive for several weeks without food. But without water, things become critical within just a few days. Ancient humans understood this very well. That's why their entire lives revolved around one thing: water. Where there was water, there was life. Where there was no water, there was the constant threat of death. Finding water was survival itself. Today, we simply turn on a faucet and water comes out. But thousands of years ago, there was no guarantee that water would even be available tomorrow morning. Many groups walked for hours, just searching for a small water source. They memorized rivers, springs, ponds, and seasonal water holes. An experienced elder often knew exactly which water source would dry up during a certain season, and which one would still have water. That same person also knew where the mountains were, and which direction the tribe should travel, depending on the season. Today, we have maps, GPS, satellites. Back then, human memory was the map. The knowledge of one experienced person could save the entire group, but one wrong decision could also put the tribe's very existence at risk. The human body is an incredible machine, but it has limits. When the body gets too hot, it produces sweat. Sweat helps cool the body down. That's one reason humans can often walk and run longer than many other animals. But there's a problem. The more you sweat, the more water your body loses. And if you can't replace that water, your body slowly begins to fail. First comes exhaustion, then dizziness, then confusion, and eventually a life-threatening situation. Ancient humans didn't know the scientific explanation, but through experience, they understood all of this. They knew when it was safe to travel under the sun and when it was smarter to stop. Even today, people living in many desert regions avoid working during the hottest hours of the day. The reason is simple. That's when the sun is at its most dangerous. Scientists believe ancient humans followed the same strategy. They were usually active early in the morning or later in the evening. During the hottest part of the day, they searched for shade, because standing under direct sunlight rapidly drains the body's energy, and conserving energy was one of the most important rules for survival. The value of shade. Today, shade seems ordinary, but thousands of years ago, a large tree, a massive rock, or the wall of a cave could literally save lives. Even a difference of just a few degrees could have a huge impact on the human body. That's why ancient people searched not only for water, but also for shade. Wherever they found good shade, they often set up temporary camps. Over time, these places became important centers of human activity. Imagine this. You are an ancient human. It hasn't rained for months. The river is carrying less water than before. The pond is shrinking, and with every passing day, the land is getting hotter and drier. At first, maybe no one notices much, because there is still some water left. But then, one day, people realize that the place where they collected water every day is now only half its original size. A few weeks later, it becomes even smaller. And then, one morning, it's almost completely gone. This is where the real crisis begins, because for ancient humans, water wasn't just something to drink. Water meant life, food, safety, and the future. As the water disappeared, the animals began to disappear too. And when the animals left, food became scarce. One problem created many more. Rising heat didn't affect only humans. Animals were affected even more, and this is where ancient humans gained an important advantage. Many large animals tried to avoid the intense heat of the day. They stayed in the shade or gathered near water sources. That meant experienced hunters could predict where those animals were most likely to be. In this way, the heat made hunting more difficult, but in many cases, it also made it easier. Scientists believe that a large part of early human history is actually the story of constant migration. People didn't stay in one place forever. When an area was no longer suitable for survival, they began searching for a new home. Sometimes an entire group would travel hundreds of miles. The elderly, women, children, everyone moved together. It wasn't an easy journey. Scorching heat during the day, cold nights, and uncertainty at every step. No one knew if they would find water ahead or not, but staying where they were was often even more dangerous, so they kept moving, because moving meant hope. Staying could mean death. Some anthropologists believe that ancient humans used wet mud to help protect themselves from extreme heat. They would cover parts of their bodies with damp mud. As the mud slowly dried, it created a cooling effect and also reduced the impact of the blazing sun. Even today, people living in some of the hottest parts of the world still use similar traditional techniques. This is where ancient humans showed remarkable intelligence. During the hottest seasons, they didn't depend only on meat. They also searched for wild fruits, berries, edible roots, tubers, and other useful plants. The food may not have tasted amazing, but it provided energy and could save lives when hunting failed. In other words, their diet changed with the seasons. They adapted themselves to nature, learning from animals. But the most fascinating part is still ahead. Ancient humans didn't rely only on their own experience. They carefully observed animals too. If a flock of birds kept flying toward the same direction every day, there was probably something important there. If a herd of deer repeatedly followed the same path, there was a good chance water could be found nearby. If they discovered old elephant footprints, they knew those giant animals were likely heading toward hidden water sources deep inside the wilderness. In this way, animals weren't just prey, they were also guides. Humans learned from watching them, and many times those observations helped save their lives. Some scientists believe that many of the great migrations in human history were caused by changes in climate. Sometimes a single long drought could change the direction of an entire human population, but reaching a new place didn't mean the problems were over, because other tribes were often already living there. For the first time, two completely different human groups would come face to face. Sometimes they stayed cautious, sometimes they kept their distance, and sometimes they helped one another. Imagine this: two different tribes arrive at the same river. Both need water, both need food. In that situation, there were only two choices: conflict or cooperation. Historians believe that both probably happened throughout human history. In some places, people fought over limited resources. In others, they shared knowledge and experience, and those encounters slowly helped spread new ideas, new skills, and better survival techniques. As time passed, humans learned one important lesson: if the climate can change, then we must change too. That is when they began improving their tools. Stone blades became sharper, wooden spears became stronger, new hunting techniques were developed. Raw strength alone was no longer enough. Planning, experience, and intelligence had become their greatest weapons. Little by little, ancient humans developed a habit that is still considered one of humanity's greatest strengths today: adaptation. If the forest changed, they changed their route. If the weather changed, they changed their daily routine. If food became scarce, they searched for new food sources. If water moved farther away, they followed it. That ability separated humans from many other species. Many powerful animals couldn't survive dramatic climate changes, but humans learned something new from every challenge they faced, and perhaps that is the greatest lesson of this entire story. Ancient humans didn't survive because they were the strongest. They survived because they were the smartest. They didn't try to fight nature. Instead, they understood it, adapted to it, and turned every new challenge into an opportunity to learn. That is why, despite brutal heat, long droughts, and incredibly harsh conditions, humans not only survived, they spread across the entire world, and perhaps that was humanity's greatest victory.